All right, well, let's go ahead and jump in. Hello, everybody joining us today. Thank you. This is Benovate Explores, our monthly webinar conversation on health, risk, and cost in an ever-changing industry. My name is Alex Earle, and I am the Director of Client Services here at Benovate. Joining me today is Mike Larkin, our Senior Business Analyst.
Thanks, Alex. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, welcome. We're spending the second quarter this year focusing on member engagement and what that means to any kind of wellness program or endeavor. Joining us today are a few representatives from the City of Brainerd right here in Minnesota. At the end of our conversation with our guest speakers today, we'll have plenty of time for some live Q&A. Feel free to tweet your questions at Benovate with the hashtag Benovate Explores, and we will get to those at the end of our conversation today, so be sure to stick around.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Let me start off by introducing you to the team from Brainerd joining us today. We have Chris Schubert, HR Coordinator at the City of Brainerd, Katie Kaufman, the Recreation Specialist, and I believe we also have Nikki Torrance joining us. Ladies, would you please introduce yourself and maybe tell us just a little bit about yourselves? Oh, I think you're on mute still.
Okay, is that working, Alex?
Oh yeah, there we are.
Great. Nice. Sorry about that. So I'm Chris Schubert. I'm the HR coordinator for the City of Brainerd. I've actually worked for Brainerd for 30 years, and I've served as the HR coordinator for the last 11 years. Joining us is Katie Kaufman. Katie is our recreation specialist and fitness guru. And then Nikki Torrance is our payroll goddess, and she helps us with all of our issues. So
fabulous. Well, Chris and Katie, Nikki, can you tell the audience a little bit more about the City of Brainerd? Kind of the location, how many employees you have. Just give us a little bit of a sense for kind of the structure of your organization.
Okay, so the City of Brainerd, we actually have 144 employees that we serve through our wellness program. That includes the city as well as our Brainerd Housing and Redevelopment Authority and our Brainerd Public Utilities. They are component units of the city, and we do their benefits, so it's just natural that they're part of our wellness program too. We're located in central Minnesota, about 2 hours north of Minneapolis-St. Paul.
That's fabulous. It's nice having you guys right in our own backyard too. We get a chance to come and see you just as often as we want, which is great. So, to start off the conversation, I'd like to talk a little bit about, kind of where you guys have started in terms of your health and wellness programming. And I think one of the first questions I have for you is, does the City of Brainerd have a singular kind of philosophy around health and well-being, or is your approach a little bit more fluid?
I would consider it more fluid, and part of it is because we have a changing workforce. We've had a lot of retirements in the last few years, or a few more that are going to be retiring in the next couple of years, and so we want our wellness program to fit our employees. So we have to modify things as things happen and as our employees change.
Okay. So what does the City of Brainerd, or what have you done in the past when it comes to, health or wellness programs? Can you talk a little bit about that?
So before Benovate, we had a wellness scorecard, and we had a kickoff meeting, and we'd hand out the scorecard. Truthfully, people would look at it and then remember it, think about it, and then we didn't get it back for a year. And because of that, we lost some employees. They forgot about the program, or they were scrambling at the end of the year to try and get their information to us. So the Benovate program has really helped us change that a little bit, where it's changing throughout the year. We can put new things on there as we need to, or as events happen.
So it sounds like the original programs, how did those get you towards your objectives? How did they go?
Our original objectives were, we just wanted people to become more healthy and become better employees, more productive. That was what the management goal was. And of course, employees, we want to improve our lifestyle and what we do with our families and improve our quality of life. So I think that was what I'm thinking. Ladies, do you have anything you'd like to add with that?
Do you remember the increase in participation from moving from our old program to the Benovate program?
So we increased participation quite a bit. We only had like 10 employees the first year complete the wellness card. And now we have like 75 employees participating. So it is a dramatic increase.
Yeah. Definitely think it helps that Benovate has the being able to use the computer as well as the app. So those that aren't comfortable using their computer, they can do it at home or wherever. And I think that's definitely helped with increase in participation.
Is there anything that you started off doing that you found has translated really well into what you're doing today? Was there a particular event or activity that your employees tended to, really be drawn to?
In the past, we had lunch and learns, and I think that was really helpful. Katie organized a lot of those for us, and we really don't have a lot of money to spend for what we have for our wellness program. So we are part of an insurance pool with the National Joint Powers Alliance, so they help fund our program. So if they participate in the lunch and learns, we would give them credit now through Benovate so that they are participating that way and they're aware of things. Mm-hmm. Anything else? Okay.
I have a question, in terms of, thinking about shifting a program from maybe one approach to another, for many groups, getting leadership involved and maintaining that, kind of ongoing support can be a bit of a challenge. Where do you see the city fitting in terms of achieving a balance between, a program, say, that's dictated a little bit more and directed by leadership versus really having a program that's championed by several, employees?
So when we started this program, we created a wellness program with a mission and goals. So our mission is that the city wellness program is to create, promote, develop, maintain, and motivate healthy lifestyles that will encourage healthy habits that can be incorporated. That's a universal type of mission. So I think our leadership understood that. Our council is supportive of it with some goals to help try to reduce the amount of sick leave hours that our employees use and also reduce our workers' comp rates. So leadership bought into that. We also have a wellness committee that is comprised of a lot of our department heads and our management team, as well as representatives from the different departments. So with that, we get a lot of buy-in and a lot of ideas from the employees to how to improve our program.
Is one of the more frustrating or challenging things about trying to keep employees, either get them involved to begin with or to kind of help maintain that high level of engagement?
Well, with any program, there's going to be some people that you just can't incentivize. They just aren't going to want to participate, but we do the best we can. This last year, we did the biometric screening process through Benovate, and we got a lot of new people that participated. Personally, my husband doesn't like to go to the doctor. So this was an opportunity for him to go in and get blood work done and things like that. And it was a great experience. It helped us learn a lot about his overall health. Was something that was important to us. So there are some city employees that don't have email addresses. So they would have to use their personal emails, and that has been a challenge for us. But we do the best we can, and with limited funds, we give the incentives we can.
I completely understand that. That's, I think, a challenge that a lot of different groups can, really relate to. And actually, earlier as you started the conversation, you mentioned seeing a shift and really a turnover in employees, right? You said you had a lot of retirees. Would you say that, a health and wellness program is a big draw in terms of, an expanded benefit, something that you use as a tool to kind of help, retain and attract new employees?
We haven't tried to market it that way, but it definitely does help employee morale. So one of the contests that we had earlier this year through Benovate was the STEP contest. And we had a woman that was 60 years old, ended up with 4th place in Benovate's contest for all of the pool members. That's amazing. It motivated me, to get up and to do a lot more too. So I thought that was pretty cool. We have another individual that has said that he's lost 20 pounds because of participating in this, to keep him engaged and keep him doing things. So,
and as far as new employees, whenever we have new employees, Benovate is something that we introduce to them. So we have a pamphlet and brochure rather, and we talk about it and include it in our regular orientation so that they are aware.
mm-hmm.
Thinking about, continuing the conversation and shifting it, a bit to what you're doing now, and, some of the stories that you guys have along to go with it. Can you tell the listeners a little bit more about your approach to goal setting? I think oftentimes when, a group is trying to think about, its priorities and really, what's important to, employees versus leadership. Can you talk us a little bit through the process of how you approach that, and maybe some of the things that you're keying in on when you think about programming today?
So as far as leadership, when we started the program with Benovate, I think it was 2015 or 2016, I can't remember for sure. But what we did is we said by 2020, we wanted a certain amount of time to say that we wanted to reduce our workers' comp rates by a certain percentage, or by so many claims. We also wanted to reduce the overall sick leave hours. We also have some other goals for the employees, and Nikki, I think you can talk about that a little bit.
Goals as far as per quarter, January through March, making benchmark things like having 3 to 5 Benovate cards that have to do with our community, with our city and our employees. Also, we talked about once a quarter or once a month, kind of trial and error. We're still in the beginning stages of that, but doing a contest between city employees, the different departments, as well as maybe another city, Baxter, for example, if they were to get involved, just so that we know who we're competing against. It might give employees a little bit more incentive to be involved in it on more of a daily basis. Is that what you're looking for?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think, talking a little bit about, your approach to managing some of these ideas, I think it would be interesting to learn, can you tell us a little bit more about how you guys come up with these ideas? Do you work together as a group? Is it, Katie, do you tend to come up with a list of ideas and then bounce them off other people? How do you manage that?
So
I send some ideas to Nikki, and she kind of follows through on the admin side of things. But I tend to stay pretty involved in the community, so I kind of know what's going on. So I'll just send her a list of activities, and I don't know, she kind of does all the admin part.
Right, because her being in Parks and Rec, but not only that, she knows about all the park activities that are going on that the community can get involved in, but she also knows about different marathons and things that they're running in neighboring communities, for example. So yeah, she gives me a list, and I basically have a calendar that I set out and put the different cards up there, rather, for future times, get them all set up.
And then our wellness committee also helps too.
Okay.
With ideas.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like a big part of your strategy, thinking about the ideas that you have, the, types of things you want to promote to your employees, is not just focusing on when people are actually at work, but really trying to, create a program that's very holistic in its approach, meaning, wellness doesn't just happen while you're clocked in, but it happens after you go home, or when you're with your spouse, when you're with your kids. And I think your, approach of including different things happening in the community is a really strong one that people are tending to gravitate to, especially more recently. And that actually reminds me of a story I think you were telling someone else from our group, something about a wellness trophy. Can you guys talk to us a little bit more about what that was?
Sure. This is the trophy. Can you see it? Okay, so I will hold a little bit closer so maybe you can see it there. Very tall. So this is for in Benovate how you accrue all these points, and the person at the end of the health year that has the most points gets the wellness trophy and gets bragging rights for the whole year. So this is displayed in my office at the moment and getting ready to be turned over to the next health champion. So yeah, that's just an extra initiative that we have, and it's kind of fun. But we also have every, 100 points? Every 100 points is a raffle ticket, and the raffle ticket gets put into a hat, and they draw out the person who will get the one free vacation day. So that's another element.
That's fantastic. Is that something that you've seen helps people get more engaged? I mean, are people walking by your office and eyeing that trophy?
It's on my bookshelf, and it actually touches the ceiling. So it's a little, they walk in, their eyes are drawn up immediately looking at that. But yeah, I've gotten definitely a lot of comments, especially the fact that they're bodybuilders on the top of it. Obviously I don't look like that, but I mean, it's kind of a cool thing to have on display.
And the person that won it the year before had it on her desk. So it was a different department head that had won it then. It's just a traveling trophy, so it's a good conversation piece.
And I think if I can add that the vacation day, for every 100 points, like Katie was saying, they get their name in a drawing. And that, I think, incentivizes those employees that already reached that incentive dollar max to keep going and to keep earning points, rather than say, oh, I made it to the max and now I'm going to stop using Benovate. I don't need it. So I think that, right, that's one of those objectives.
Correct.
Okay.
Some of the more subtle kind of motivations for recognition and that sort of thing.
Right.
Right.
And we did make a big deal out of it. The person that got the vacation day too, as well as the trophy. Yeah.
And we actually went to a council meeting and did a presentation about our wellness program, as far as what we did the year before, what we planned on doing the next year, and then we awarded the traveling trophy, and that is on live TV in our community. So
that's fantastic. One of the projects that we're working on internally right now in terms of development is actually rolling out kind of an achievements program where they can win those sort of digital recognitions once the incentive is out. So it's awesome to hear that that's something that you're doing, and we're on the right track there. When you look at things like that, where are you seeing the program kind of evolve to over the course of the next 12 months, 24 months?
So we have started talking with our wellness committee for the next year's program. We're just in the beginning stages of that, so we haven't gotten things finalized. But one of the things that our wellness committee wants to really focus on is a topic that's really important right now in mental illness. So one of our lunch and learns is going to be focusing on mental illness and trying to help people cope with some additional issues that are happening in their life. So whether it's that or dealing with aging parents, the sandwich generation, things like that. So trying to be more helpful for the people at home in the stress that they have to deal with there.
According to the data that we get from Benovate. So our high risk areas, as well as our ideas from our wellness committee, kind of combined.
So that's actually a great point. One of the areas that I focus on with Benovate, operating as a business analyst, is some of that data. When you're looking at what sort of data you generate, what's most helpful to you when you're looking at not just how to be most effective, but when you're looking at the future of the program, what pieces of data are kind of very helpful in making those decisions?
Well, I think when employees do the health risk assessment and they do the information and it identifies certain key areas within our own group that we should be focusing on, whether it's stress reduction or possible back injuries or different things like that, different illnesses, that helps us decide on different kinds of lunch and learns that we should be focusing on to make it more applicable to our group.
Question for you, kind of building off your comment on focusing around, mental health and doing things like lunch and learns, getting, your community involved. Where do you see the role of your local health providers with regards to the type of support or involvement you'd like to see for your program?
So our local health providers lots of times are the presenters for our lunch and learns. They do it at no cost for us. So we have lots of different experts that we can draw in. It helps us financially that we don't have to pay them. The other thing is the biometric screening that we did through Benovate. Employees that after they went through that process, they can take their information to their doctor. And so the doctor has that information too.
building kind of on the notion of, relevant engagement, this is something that has kind of been a constant throughout this webinar series, taking data that you're getting from your health risk assessment, from screenings, from all the activities that you're doing, and then shifting that through to your incentive strategy. How important do you think incentives are, either monetary or otherwise? So, a great example is your wellness trophy. That's not necessarily something that has a dollar amount attached, but it's clearly something that's driving a high amount of engagement for your folks. Do you see an area in particular where you guys struggle with coming up with either incentives or determining what the right incentive is?
So the City of Brainerd itself does not financially contribute to our incentives. I had mentioned before that we're part of an organization called the National Joint Powers Alliance that is our health insurance pool. And they provide the funding for us for our incentives. And then they also give us some additional money for our wellness program. So we use the amount of funds that we have available through that organization to create our incentives. And we try to focus on things that we think will help people get started. Setting up the fitness tracker. We set up actual incentives for people to do that so that it automatically connects, and that's been helpful. Ladies, do you have any other ideas or thoughts on that?
I'm excited about the badges eventually that you guys are talking about.
The achievement.
Yes, because I'm a millennial and instant gratification is huge for us. And having the badges on Fitbit is great. I get excited when I walk the distance of a Serengeti desert or what have you. But when you guys start having badges and the instant gratification, I think that will keep the participation up, and maybe daily, weekly. That's what I'm looking forward to.
And I think too, to add to that, when I see, I have my Apple Watch connected. Thank you, by the way, for getting Apple Watch on there. I love it. But, and I see, you've taken 35,000 steps already within the last however many days. That lets me know, oh, this data really is communicating with the Benovate platform. And I think it adds to our credibility and gives, it lets the employees know that it is being tracked and they are being rewarded for what they're actually doing.
A lot of great feedback around that, so it's great to hear you echo that importance. And Katie, I think your comment about millennials wanting instant gratification and there being maybe different tacks that employer groups have to take with different types of employees, I think is really important. And that actually kind of leads me to thinking about the way you guys use custom cards to target different segments of your population. Knowing that, one particular activity might not necessarily be super engaging to a particular segment, is something that I think, can be very helpful, in terms of wanting to diversify a program. So this is a feature, really, custom cards is that Benovate member administrators have access to. They can log into their admin console and they can, edit and create custom content like you've done here. I see a couple different community events. You have a save the date for an Easter egg hunt and I think a particular runner event. We've pulled together a few examples here, but, can you talk a little bit about some of the other ideas you've had or other things that you've tried or are thinking about trying that you would like to share?
So we have done custom cards we have a chili cook-off for our employees. So not only do we give points to people that participate by attending, but people that actually make the chili, we give them extra points. If they attend some of our other events, like our employee picnic that's in August. Again, just to try to say thank you to those people that are taking the time out of their time to do those types of things.
And so not only does doing the chili cook-off, for example, and incentivizing that through Benovate as an activity, it also helps with the morale of, I think, of our employees and just engaging them. Oh, getting to know people in the police department when I work in City Hall, or people in the Parks Department, Brainerd Public Utilities, bringing us all together. So it's like this double, triple award that we get through it.
And we can do so many different custom cards. Like we had said before, Katie has a good handle on our community, so she has a lot of information about what's happening. And then Nikki creates the cards for us. So,
well, one of the things that's been, I think, really interesting for us when we opened up that kind of admin functionality to give people the ability to kind of create their own events, create their own cards, is it really unlocked a lot of creativity and usage of some of these cards that we honestly hadn't even thought of. So, seeing that people are, putting together these events, putting together kind of creative things like chili cook-offs, that's fantastic for us to see as well. So, you having the ability to do that is helps us do our job better as well. So thank you for being fantastic shepherds of your wellness program.
thank you.
I like the shepherd.
Well, yeah, taking a look at the clock here, now is the time for the exciting stuff, group participation time. So we invite all of the participants to please take yourselves off mute and join our discussion. Does anybody have any questions for our friends from Brainerd, for Mike Larkin or myself? And remember too, you can unmute your microphone if you're joining us via Hangouts, or you can tweet your questions to @Benovate with the hashtag Benovate Explores. All right, I think, I'm seeing a question come in here for Chris. So they're wondering, do you communicate with other municipalities or other local groups about your program? Is that something that you share with other HR professionals, or does it tend to be a little bit more within your own group? And then secondary to that, what would you recommend to other cities such as yourself that are challenged with putting together programs like yours?
Okay, so right now, we discuss within our own pool, our health insurance pool, and we have a user group meeting. We explain what we're doing. We hear what other groups are doing to get ideas. We're hoping in the future to be able to do some of those contests with our neighboring communities. That competition is always fun. The second part of your question again was, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Oh, just wondering if there was any advice that you would share to other cities or other organizations such as yourself that are, tasked with putting together and running a health and wellness program.
My input was, we are short-staffed. And so to begin with, we hired an HR intern. That person helped us create our wellness program and our information. And with that, I don't think administratively there's been a whole lot of things that we have to do. And that's a huge benefit for us. And after the initial setup, we create the custom cards, but really we don't have to do a whole lot. And that is huge for us because we really don't have a whole lot of time. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Does anybody else have a final question before we wrap up today?
I have a question just internally here. You mentioned achievements kind of resonating for you. When you're interacting with the platform, whether as an admin or as a user, what's kind of most resonating with you in terms of Benovate versus, kind of your average wellness program or what you were doing before?
Well, I think that the Benovate program has really helped a lot compared to our previous program. Like I had mentioned, we had like 10 people complete our program before, and now we're having 75. So when you look at that increase, that is huge. So you're making an impact and that people are wanting to participate. So that's very beneficial for us.
Because Benovate is so personalized. So for me, when I'm interacting with the platform as a user, I'm seeing cards, do you have children, that are under the age of 18, things, and I'm answering yes or no. How are you feeling today? Great, not good, and it takes you through. It's much more personalized. I wasn't here for their wellness program previously. I've only been here for 2 years, but I would say personalization is huge for people.
Yeah, I would definitely say when we started, when I first started, it was still the scorecard, and we were just diving into the 7 dimensions of health and how, it's not just physical. And I think it was hard to capture everything and make it work appropriate or what have you.
Relevant.
And so the fact that it's completely confidential, really, I mean, when you're filling out things, and it definitely goes more specific than we could ever go, I think, for individuals. Like you said, personalization. So I think it's just more in depth, and I really appreciate it.
That's fantastic. So when you guys award the trophy at the end of the year, can we get a picture and put it in a card?
Certainly.
Excellent.
Send it to Alex.
I love that. That's an excellent idea. Well, and with that, that is actually all we have time for today. How the time flies when we're having fun, right, ladies?
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much again to our special guests, Chris, Katie, and Nikki, and to all of you for joining us today on Benovate Explores. Please join us next month, June 20th at 11:30 a.m. Central Time for the next episode in our series as we continue our conversations on member and group engagement. And as always, if you have any feedback, we'd love to hear from you. So thanks again, everybody, and we will see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
You want to mute it? You have to mute it.
Probably.
Sorry.